She didn't come to Rome to be surprised. That's the thing you have to understand about Amélie Mauresmo. This is not someone who gets caught off guard by talent. She has spent the better part of 2 decades surrounded by the best tennis players on the planet, not just watching them, but coaching them, directing them, shaping the very tournament that bears the red clay legacy of French tennis. She reached World No. 1 herself. She won 2 Grand Slams. She took home an Olympic silver medal. She has sat courtside at Roland Garros and watched Iga Swiatek dismantle opponents like they were beginners. She has stood inches away from Aryna Sabalenka as that woman unleashed forehands that sounded like gunshots. Mauresmo does not get starstruck. She does not drop her composure for just anyone. So when she leaned forward in her seat at the Foro Italico in Rome on May 11, 2026, and asked the tournament official beside her, "Who is this girl?" you need to understand what that question actually meant. It meant something had broken through. Something had cut past all those years of experience and expertise and forced one of the most respected minds in tennis to pay attention in a way she wasn't expecting. And the answer to her question was simple. That's Alex Eala. She's 20 years old, she's from the Philippines, and wherever she goes, her people follow. Mauresmo looked back at the court, at the flags, at the crowd, at this young woman on the other side of the net from the World No. 2, and she said something quietly, almost to herself. I can see why. What happened in Rome that week didn't just turn heads. It changed the conversation entirely. And by the time Mauresmo walked into that press conference and said the word she said, the tennis world had to stop and reckon with something it maybe wasn't quite ready to admit. Alex isn't just a fan favorite. She isn't just a feel-good story about a girl from Southeast Asia chasing a dream in a sport that wasn't built for her. She is something rarer and harder to define. And it took a legend sitting in the stands of the Foro Italico, watching in real time, to put the right words to it. Let's go back a little though, because context matters here. Alex came into the Italian Open not as a headline act but as someone still climbing her way into the upper half of the conversation. Her ranking sat around the late 30s, which in women's tennis means you're knocking on the door of the serious draw but you're not yet the name that makes other players nervous when they see it on the bracket. She had beaten Magdalena Frech, who was sitting at number 45 in the world, and then she had taken down Wang Xinyu, the 31st seed, which was not a small thing. Those weren't soft wins. Those were real tests against real players, and she passed them. But nobody outside of the Philippine community and the most dedicated tennis watchers had circled her name in red and said this one is going to do something special this week. That all changed the moment she stepped onto the court against Elena Rybakina. Because Rybakina is not just a good player. She is one of the most complete players on tour. She won Wimbledon in 2022. She is built like someone designed specifically to make other tennis players feel small. Her serve is one of the heaviest in the women's game. Her backhand is clean and brutal. She doesn't panic, she doesn't give you free points, and she doesn't respect your feelings when she's on the other side of the net. She was ranked number 2 in the world for a reason. And Alex, this 20-year-old from Manila who was ranked somewhere in the 30s, walked out onto that clay court and played like she belonged there completely. The first set was not a survival story. Let's be clear about that, because sometimes when we talk about upsets or near upsets, we frame the underdog as someone who was just hanging on, grinding it out, hoping the favorite would blink. That's not what happened here. Alex fired 13 winners in the first set alone. That was her highest total in a single set all season. She broke Rybakina's serve. She held under pressure. She pushed the set to 4-all before the Kazakh's experience and consistency finally tipped things in her favor. But the score doesn't tell the real story. The real story is what Mauresmo was seeing from the stands. The thing that made her lean forward and narrow her eyes and go quiet in a way that people who know her recognized immediately as deep, focused attention. She was watching Alex's feet. Not in a technical, analytical way, like a coach reviewing film. She was watching them the way you watch something that surprises you, something that moves in a rhythm you didn't expect. Alex wasn't just reacting to Rybakina's shots. She was moving before the ball was hit. She was reading the situation, reading the body language, reading some invisible signal in the way Rybakina coiled her shoulder or shifted her weight, and she was already in position before any of it happened. That's not something you can drill into someone at a tennis academy. You can teach footwork patterns until your voice gives out, but you cannot teach a player to see the future. That's instinct. That's a gift that either lives in you or it doesn't. And Mauresmo, who has spent her entire adult life studying this game from every possible angle, recognized at the moment she saw it. You can teach technique, she said to the person beside her. You can teach strategy. But you can't teach that kind of court awareness. She has it naturally. That kind of compliment from that particular person, in that particular setting, is not something you brush past. Then the second set started, and things got complicated in the way that big matches always do. Rybakina broke early. She took a 3-1 lead. The stadium shifted. The Philippine flags that had been waving with this almost delirious joy, the ones that had turned the Foro Italico into something that felt more like Manila than Rome, dipped a little. The chanting softened. You could feel the crowd preparing itself for the ending it had maybe always expected, the ending where the ranking made sense, where the World No. 2 closed it out, and that was that. Then Alex broke back. Immediately. No pause, no hesitation, no moment of visible doubt. She broke back, held her serve, and took a 3-2 lead. And Mauresmo, who had seen players crumble in that exact situation more times than she could count, who had watched some genuinely brilliant players fall apart the moment the pressure stopped being theoretical and became very, very real, sat back slightly and said something that cut through everything. She's not afraid. Most players, when they face someone like Rybakina, they start playing not to lose. They pull back. They stop going for their lines. They start pushing the ball and hoping for errors instead of making things happen. The game turns defensive and small. But Alex kept playing forward. She kept going for her shots. She kept swinging through the ball like she was still in a practice match with nothing on the line, except her body language made it clear she understood exactly what was on the line and had decided that fear was not a useful response to it. That's the mark of a champion, Mauresmo said. She paused for a second after that. She let it sit. Then she didn't add anything, because she didn't need to. The match ended the way it ended. Rybakina won. The scoreline read 6-4, 6-3, which looks comfortable on paper but tells you almost nothing about how the match actually felt. 64 in a first set where the lower-ranked player fires 13 winners and breaks the World No. 2's serve is not a comfortable win. It's a fight. It's a battle. And 6-3 in the second set, after the comeback to 3-2, after the flags and the noise and the 20-year-old who refused to play scared, that number doesn't capture what actually happened in that stadium. Mauresmo wasn't looking at those numbers anyway. She was still watching Alex walk off the court, taking in everything about the way she carried herself after a loss, and what she saw there must have confirmed everything, because she didn't leave when the match ended. She stayed. She had something to say. The press conference had been set up the way press conferences at big tournaments always are. Journalists filing in, recorders out, the usual cycle of questions about the draw and the clay and what Mauresmo expected from the upcoming French Open, which she oversees as tournament director of Roland Garros. The questions were routine. The answers were measured. Then a reporter from a Philippine news outlet raised her hand, and the whole temperature of the room changed without anyone quite noticing it had happened. Madame Mauresmo, you watched Alex compete here in Rome. What are your thoughts on her performance? Do you see a future for her at the highest level of the sport? The room went quiet. Not the polite quiet of an audience waiting for the next answer. A real quiet. The kind that happens when everyone in a room simultaneously senses that something worth paying attention to is about to occur. Mauresmo leaned back in her chair. She took a breath. She looked up toward the ceiling for just a moment, like she was searching for the exact right words rather than reaching for whatever came first. I've watched tennis for a long time, she began. I've seen players with more talent than Alex. I've seen players with more power, more speed, more experience. But I haven't seen many players with her heart. And then she said it. She deserves to be number one. The room gasped. Not a polite, composed reaction. An actual, audible gasp from a room full of professional journalists who spend their lives trying not to react visibly to things. Not today, Mauresmo continued, her voice steady, her eyes clear. Not tomorrow. But someday. She has the game. She has the mentality. She has the support of a nation behind her, and she's only 20 years old. She paused, and the pause felt deliberate, like she wanted the next sentence to land without anything around it to soften the impact. If she continues on this trajectory, if she stays healthy, if she keeps learning and growing, I have no doubt that she will reach the top of this sport. She's special. And I'm not the only one who sees it. That last line sent something electric through the room, because everyone immediately understood what it referenced. She wasn't just speaking for herself. She was pointing at a list of names that had already attached themselves to Alex's story, names that carried their own enormous weight in the world of sport, and saying that she was now adding her voice to that list. Think about what that list actually looks like, because it's worth slowing down and really taking it in. Novak Djokovic, a man with more Grand Slam titles than anyone in the history of the sport, handed Alex his personal training journal from 2007, the year he was still climbing toward the greatness that would eventually redefine what was possible in tennis, and wrote inside it, "You remind me of myself." That's not a gesture you make lightly. That's not something you do for a photo opportunity or a publicity moment. You don't give someone your personal journal, the private record of your own becoming, unless you genuinely believe they are on a path you recognize. Roger Federer, who built an entire legacy around a certain kind of graceful, intelligent tennis that the game had never quite seen before or since, gave Alex a platinum bracelet engraved with the words for the fighter who never quits. Federer does not chase trends. He does not attach his name to things casually. When Roger Federer sees a fighter and names her as one, you listen. And then there was President Mattarella of Italy, who presented Alex with the Order of the Star of Italy, a state honor, in recognition of what she had done in Rome, not just on the court but in that stadium, with those flags, with that crowd, with the way she made the Foro Italico feel like a place where something historic and beautiful was unfolding right in front of you. Now add Amélie Mauresmo to that list.
A former world number one. A two-time Grand Slam champion.
The woman who runs Roland Garros. When she speaks about tennis, the sport does not just politely nod.
It listens.
And what she said about Alex in that press conference has been replayed and shared and translated into dozens of languages since it happened, not because it was provocative or controversial, but because it felt true in the way that only certain things do, the way that certain statements land not as opinions but as observations, as someone seeing clearly and saying clearly what they see. But here's the thing that I keep coming back to, the thread underneath all of this that I think deserves its own moment. None of these people, not Djokovic, not Federer, not Mauresmo, saw Alex when she was having her best day. They didn't see her win a Grand Slam or lift a trophy in front of a packed stadium or climb to the top of the rankings board. They saw her compete hard against people ranked far above her. They saw her lose. And what they recognized in that, what moved them enough to say something, to do something, to put their names and their credibility behind this 20-year-old from the Philippines, was not the result. It was something in the way she played, the way she carried herself, the way she refused to let the scoreline become a story about her limits. Mauresmo put words to it more precisely than anyone had before. Most players, when they walk out against a Rybakina, against a player who has won a Grand Slam and could end points on any given swing, they start playing defensively.
They stop trusting themselves. The game shrinks. Not Alex.
Alex kept playing her game. Kept going for her shots.
Kept moving forward.
And that willingness to stay offensive, to stay trusting, to stay herself under conditions specifically designed to make you stop being yourself, that's the thing that separates the players who eventually become champions from the ones who have good careers and drift away. Mauresmo has seen both kinds. She knows the difference by feel at this point. And in Alex, sitting in that state